So in here I have icing sugar and some butter that's softened, and if it's dairy free, it'll be dairy free spread.
Okay.
So if you're using butter, I would just soften it in the microwave a little bit, makes it easier. That was vanilla extract and some lemon juice.
Okay.
Just adds everything, and really difficult. All we're going to do, put the thing on so that it didn't spray everywhere. I'm just going to mix that. I'm just going to leave that mixing.
Okay.
Yep. So one of the other things that you've been involved with is audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
I came to you and you did. So I came to the studio, me in the studio.
I was worried you were going to sing for a second, but that was fine. You came to the studio to do your audiobook.
Yep.
And I just finished doing a big, massive project that I was working on, the Mission Impossible project, and I was like, I want to just do something nice and relax and chill in the studio for a bit.
And every night, I'd say to John, right, this is what I'm going to do at the studio tonight, and he'd say, do you know what's in that chapter? I was like, well, yeah. Then he says, do you know which places are in that chapter? He says, you've got to pronounce those. And he just laughs so much, and it was so that was quite fun having to try and pronounce.
And I suppose the thing is as well that it's not live radio, so you know if you don't get it right, we'll go again.
Yes.
You know.
There were some times that I didn't get things right. A few times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but the funniest thing that I have to say, the funniest thing was. So in this, there's a story where Beatrix doesn't use a lot of bad language because I don't. So
No,
Beatrix talks.
and nobody would ever hear me swearing.
No. But on one of the walks, and she got a little bit fed up with people, and we fell out. And I was telling her, you know, why do you have to be like that? And she was saying, well, you know, why don't people understand me? And she said, why can't they just throw the stone?
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, I put asterisk, because young people are reading this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said to Greg, I says, what do I do when I'm doing this? And he says, just say it, just say the word. So that was
and then we'll bleep it out.
And then we'll bleep it out. So I did that, and
which actually makes it funnier.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
Yes. But then when we came to checking it, and I'm just casually listening to it at home and everything. And on it came, and this word was still there because it hadn't been bleeped out.
Oh, that was the rough edit of it first.
Yeah,
yes,
it has been bleeped out, but that was quite funny. That was
and it's a bit magical, a bit mysterious, and but halfway through you're kind of going, all right, this is going somewhere I wasn't expecting. But I think just the way you've written it, you just go with it. You're just kind of taken in with it.
But you've done a few audio books, haven't you? So, I mean, mine was a fiction one. You've done others that are non-fiction.
Yeah, non-fiction stuff as well.
Does it make a difference to you for your enjoyment of actually helping people do that?
I don't know. I mean, I think it comes down to the reader and the subject matter as well. You're naturally a storyteller. Just the way that you write, the way you communicate the book is written in a very conversational style, so it naturally lends itself to that. Whereas a lot of non-fiction stuff doesn't. But it depends on you've always got to think about who's the audience. And if it's a non-fiction book and it's a business book, then they're not looking to be entertained necessarily. They're looking to be educated and informed. So the approach is just different. Whereas with yours, it's entertainment. You're telling a story.
So we have the butter icing now, all nice and ready. Of course, we're not going to put that on the cakes until they've cooled down.
Okay. We're going to the pub.
Oh, good. Well, yeah. I'll tell you something about the book. Originally, when I was writing it, so the book's told. Beatrix tells the story, but originally she didn't. Originally, it was me telling the story.
Right. Okay.
And I went.
But then you taught the dog to type.
Oh, well, no, she couldn't type. I had to type it for her. But originally, I was telling
this was this like bark to text
I know,
speech.
bark to text. Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Okay.
If we could find that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But so originally, I was in the book. I'd written it as though it was me telling the story.
Right. Okay.
And I went to a writers' retreat, and if Sinclair's watching this, Sinclair was leading that, and he says, I know that you talk to Beatrix. And he says, everybody knows that you talk to Beatrix. He says, but there's nothing suggesting that. He says, can you put a little bit more dialogue in it? It was early stages, maybe about a quarter of the way through.
Okay.
But see, it kind of changed it in my mind, and I was like, that is it. That's the difference. Yeah. So yeah. So we are going to.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. Once the cakes are cooled, once they come out of the oven, which are smelling. Can you smell that now?
Mm-hmm.
It's smelling quite nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't have smell-o-vision.
Yeah. A good tip. So we have a nozzle in there. It doesn't really matter. You wouldn't even need to pipe the icing on. You could just spread it on.
Right,
you know, you don't have to do. When you're trying to get your icing in, instead of having to try and hold the piping bag. Yep. So I'm just going to put that much in there. And the reason that we're piping it today is because I thought it'd be quite fun to see you piping.
Great.
Because you said you'd not done it before, so. But the whole point is not to make fun of you.
No.
For that.
No. Why would you do that?
Exactly. But
I'm not here to be humiliated, Deborah.
No. If you try piping and you don't like it, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Spread it on with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let anybody say that carrot cake has to be piped. Yeah. And just do it however you want.
Damn people and their rules.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
And if you look at the picture of the big one, it wasn't piped. It was just spread on, and I just did a simple. I just went round it with a fork, just to.
Mm-hmm.
We have some. I have made some. I'm just going to look at that because. That's still good.
How much longer we got?
6 minutes it says.
Okay.
But they smell. They smell like they're not too cold. So all you do with the piping bag is just squeeze that so we can see it down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you just twist that, and that's all ready for us to use. But you never put the icing on the cakes when they're still warm. Always wait for it to cool.
Hence us going to the pub.
Hence us going to the pub. Yeah. Okay. So, and do you think you could, my glamorous assistant again, could you pass me the carrots?
Oh,
on
yeah.
the top of the just show people these. So I made these. You can buy these. You can put them on. You don't put them on. So I've made some little fondant carrots. Yeah, and they're going to go on the cakes. You can buy these in the supermarket, ready-made. But I like making them.
So how have you made them?
So I got just a block of orange icing, and I just made a little ball, rolled it in my hand, quite firm now. Can you?
Mm-hmm.
So they're sort of.
Well, so they are, yeah.
Yeah. So rather than putting, if we'd done them today, they'd be all soft and they'd just soak into the icing. And
Right.
So it's better to do it that way. If you don't want to make them, don't make them. If you don't want to put them on the cake, don't put them on the cake. But you can actually buy them ready-made as well. So that is that's us. So tell us about how would people, if somebody was thinking of doing an audiobook, what advice would you give them?
Think about, and this is the same for any kind of content project that you're doing, whether it's an audiobook or a podcast, or you're going to be doing a series of videos or whatever. Really think about who your audience is, because then you're really creating something that you know that they want to hear or they want to watch. and it's going to be...
I'm just going to interrupt you a second because I know my timer's not gone off, but I know...
That they're ready?
I know that they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, so thinking about the audience is always the most important thing. And just thinking that, you're going to create something that's either going to be, if it's like non-fiction, then it's going to be useful for them. And if it's fiction, then, they're going to enjoy this,
Yeah.
But preparation is the key, and if you're a first-time reader of an audiobook, then practicing in the house is good. But it is a slightly different concept from just reading the book, it's incredibly time consuming,
Oh, it is. It is. But it's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
And you've just got to think, well, you're not, if you stumble over a line or if you stumble over a word, you've just got to go back and fix that and make sure that it's all right. You can't have little errors like that. So getting really familiar with the text is always useful. I'll get you.
Yep. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
So being familiar with it is always... Preparation is the key.
Yeah. And we chatted about this when I was doing the audiobook with you. And I was saying I don't need to understand everything that all these processes, and I likened it to aeroplanes because I'm quite clever, but
yes, I know where this is going.
Yeah. I can't get my head round how the aeroplanes stay up in the air because they don't even flatten the wings, do they? So and the point.
Science can be fun, kids.
I know. But the point is that there are times when I know that yes, I've got Audacity on my computer. I've got a microphone. I've got a headphone. I've got a voice. Do I have the ability to record my audiobook myself and make it sound like an audiobook and not an audiobook that Deborah's recorded
in the house
in a spare bedroom? So I had enough about me to think, well, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to go to somebody that knows. I
think that was the thing as well, is that, whenever you do those first couple of sessions, then you're kind of like, oh, right, okay, and then you start to understand what the process is,
I saw all the editing that you were doing as well, and I'm like, I just wouldn't be able to do that. So the sound of yours were quite small, but that's okay.
I just do what I'm told. There's a couple of wee ones there.
But they'll have more icing than the others.
I like that idea. Okay, good.
Yeah.
They actually look okay. My ones.
They do look okay.
I'm just saying by comparison to yours.
Were you doubting that I could actually bake a cake?
No. I was doubting that mine would actually come out looking anything like a cake.
Yeah. So I saw all the editing that went in, and there were times when we were recording the book, and I'd be into the flow of talking, and you'd say, "Oh, actually, I think you just made a mistake there." I'm like, "Really?" And it's that having somebody else listening to you when you're recording, a little bit like proofreading, because...
Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same job, just a slightly different
because
format.
When you're looking at your own work, you see what you think you've typed. And I thought I had said what I should have done, but obviously I didn't. And also there were times when you'd stop and you'd say, "Oh, I can hear a little bit of a noise." Oh, really? So you were picking up things. And
it was literally like you'd moved in your chair or a bit of clothing or that kind of stuff. And that can be really distracting if somebody's listening to your book.
Yeah.
And they've got it on headphones or whatever, and then all of a sudden they hear this sort of rustling noise or stuff like that. So you kind of got to listen out for all those things.
So I mean, people can do them themselves, or they can do part of it themselves and come to you for their...
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done stuff where somebody's recorded it and then I've edited it and cleaned it up. And the thing is, that's really laborious about that is that you're not familiar with it then, and you don't know, so you've literally just kind of got to go through with a fine tooth comb. But I do that with podcasts for people, plenty of people have recorded a podcast episode, and they're like, it's an hour and a half, but we need it chopped down to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on budgets and all that sort of things, you kind of got to go, right, well, tell me what you want cut out. Otherwise, I've got to listen to this and start making creative decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Especially whatever the subject matter is. I don't know your subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's important to you and what's not, and what, there might be a reason you've got that line in that I'm kind of like, well, it seems like it's not important. I don't know.
Mm.
So there's all these different things that come into play, but at the end of the day, that job is more of a technical job for me, whereas where my sort of strength lies, I think, is really in the creative side of things. It's kind of like,
Florence is going to say hello.
hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So would there be any sort of book that you would think wouldn't lend itself to being an audio book?
Well, anything that has loads of diagrams.
Yeah. I didn't think of doing the cookery book as a.
Yeah, I mean it's an instruction manual.
It's an e-book, but it's not.
It would work as you could do like a video book of it. There's things like that kind of thing. You could do video versions, but or you get people doing these kind of combined versions of where they have like a book and then they've got QR codes that take you to like a little clip of video and that kind of thing, and so those kind of things can work as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just slightly distracted by my dog wanting to go out. So I think it's time for us to have another commercial break while we're waiting for the cakes to cool as well. And we'll come back and we'll watch Greg. What the camera can't see is that Florence is coming in. Florence is climbing up Greg's leg. Yeah, but I think she's wanting to go out. So commercial break. Okay.